Salute and welcome to another episode of The Inner D. In today's episode, I'm going to be going into another one of my stories that I've written. For this story, it's called Animo. Prologue: 5 minutes of stillness. The room was very quiet. A desk lamp burned a cone into the dark, turning the cinder block wall the color of old paper. Danny lay on his back and watched the ceiling. The paint ridged like a coastline. The sounds pressed in, no sirens, no music through the wall, no laughter spilling in from the hallway. He had done everything so carefully, as if good manners might soften the impact of what he meant to do. Then the world narrowed. A soundless drop, a clean white edge. For 2 minutes, there was nothing to fear because there was nothing at all. No judgment, no light, no voice. Just a stillness that felt like truth. When the paramedics jolted his heart back, the first breath cut his chest like winter air. The hospital lights were ugly, bright, and real. He blinked into the nose of the living. Orders, footsteps, a printer, coughing paper, and understood with a clarity that made him cold. He had been given back a life he didn't want, so he would make sure others learned to want theirs. He didn't see heaven or hell. He saw a ledger. Life was a loan. Someone had to collect. Chapter 1: The Cover. The University of Macon in late September wore a thin gold light. Leaves snapped under feet on the quay. The library breathed coffee and paper. Danny moved through all of it like a draft in a closed room, felt more than seen. On paper, he was a graduate student in criminal justice, a promising reserve researcher who returned emails on time and never missed a lab meeting. In practice, he was a quiet radius around which certain patterns began to bend. Students who mocked those with accents felt silent. He watched, he waited. He learned the weak seams in people where pride hid panic, where apathy masked fear, where arrogance kept a ledger of its own. He carried a small black notebook in his coat. He didn't write names, he wrote debts. In the nursing building lobby, he held the door for a young woman coming out with a stack of folders. She had the kind of kindness that didn't perform. Steady hands, quick eyes, a smile offered like a bridge rather than a spotlight. Thanks, she said. Breathless, he saved me a paper avalanche. Unpaid debt, then, he said mildly. She laughed. I'm Gal. Galatea Verdelli. Most people just say Gal. I'm a recent grad. Nursing. Danny, he said. Criminal justice. Her eyes lingered. Have we met? Not yet, he said, and walked into the bright hallway, the finest whistle trailing the air like a thread. Chapter 2: Margins. The first note appeared in a margin. This is not how your story ends. It lay between lines of lecture scribble, spiral notebook belonging to a freshman named Rowan, who had failed 2 quizzes and taught himself the word waste until it fit his ribs like a belt. He found the note after chemistry and blinked. Throat tight. No one was near. The words looked like his own handwriting, tilted, hurried, certain. Later that night, in the quiet aisle of the second floor of the library, a second message lay under a highlighted cap he was sure he had left in his dorm. You don't have to deserve life to keep it. You only have to choose it. Rowan sat down hard, staring at the lines until they doubled. He did not cry. He put his head on his arms and listened. For a moment he thought he heard something whistling. 5 soft notes that somehow felt like an answer. Across the room behind a shelf of books no one checked out. Danny watched for breath and color to return to a young face. He did not step closer. He did not speak. He wrote nothing. Later in the nursing clinic, Gal stitched a little boy's eyebrow while his mother gripped his hand and tried not to faint. When the boy was done, Gal crouched to his height. You're brave, she said. It meant both of you. Danny watched them from the door and recognized it. The quiet way she handed people a reason to keep going. He left one note for her. Not a warning, an acknowledgement. Triage for the soul, nurse. Keep doing it. She found it in her pocket at home, smiled, and frowned. How had it gotten there? Chapter 3: Halo. Haven Allen intercepted Danny outside the library like a detective who hadn't decided whether the man she cornered was a witness, a suspect, or both. You're different, she said, falling into a step beside him. Different, different. not transfer student different. He raised an eyebrow. Haven was a sophomore, very nursing, sharper than most scalpels. She once told off a TA for calling students with two jobs lazy, and won the argument on both logic and tone. Observant, Daddy said. What gave me away? You never look at your phone. You listen to people when they're not speaking. And she squinted. There's a rumor about her presence, whistling, notes and margins. People changing right before the break. I keep finding the edges of it, and the edges look like you. They reached the shadow line where the quad turned to a brick path. Danny stopped. I don't hurt people, he said, voice soft. I don't choose at random. I warn, I test, I collect. Collect what? Debts, he said. Unpaid respect for one life. Haven studied him. Most people would have laughed or run. She looked, instead, like someone cataloging supplies for a mission she hadn't planned to join. If you're going to do this, she said, you can't do it alone. You need someone to tell you when you're wrong. You need resources, counseling hours, crisis contexts, the whole web. If you're going to shove people toward a choice, you better make sure there's something to choose. He breathed once, and for the first time since the hospital, felt easy. What would I call you? He asked. She grinned without humor. Call me Halo. I'll be the light you drop around the things you don't want them to miss. Deal, he said, and his whistle braided the air between them like a pact. Chapter 4. The Collector. There was a student on Danny's ledger whose debt had accumulated interest. Tanner Holt, sophomore. He ran the campus org that ripped posters from the board if they weren't serious enough, lectured kids with remedial placements, and told anyone who stumbled, no excuses, some of us do the work. He was smart. He was cruel in a way he didn't recognize as cruelty. Danny prepared a lesson that did not draw blood. A Thursday night, the tutoring lab after hours. A borrowed key card returned before dawn. A room rearranged, not locked, never locked, only structured. Tanner arrived because the professor had requested a reflection on leadership after an incident with a classmate. The request had sounded like a command when it landed in his inbox. In the room, a chair, a recorder, a large red button on the wall labeled Panic. On the whiteboard, in block letters, no one will see this. You will. A speaker clicked. A voice, Danny's, but not filtered to neutrality. This is not discipline. This is a mirror. You have 7 prompts. After each, decide. Do you press panic and call for help, or do you finish alone? Pressing the button will summon the tutor. Help will come, and someone will see you needed it. If you finish alone, you will keep your privacy. The questions escalate. Tanner started. Cute. He said, the first prompt. Name the person you became the day you decided you were better than the help you got. His jaw tightened. He wrote. He didn't press the button. Prompt 2. Whose suffering made your path easier? Write their name. Say it aloud. He stared at the red button and felt unexpectedly his throat close. He spoke his mother's name. The room stayed very quiet. He did not press the button. Prompt 3. List 3 ways you punish people for not being you. Sweat crept. He pressed the marker to the board. It squeaked. He wrote. The letters looked like verdicts. He did not press the button. Prompt 4. Describe the moment this semester when you could have chosen kindness and chose pride. He remembered the freshman he humiliated for mispronouncing a word. He remembered the flash in the kid's eyes. He reached for the red circle like it might burn him and hesitated. His hand hovered. He didn't press. Prompt 5. Imagine a freshman does not come back tomorrow. The button pulsed in the corner of his eye. No one will see this. You will. He pressed his lips together until they hurt. The speaker clicked. The last prompt, the voice said, very gently. Write one sentence you would say if he were here. Then decide if you want to say it alone in this empty room or if you want help saying it in the world. He wrote slowly, I'm sorry. He added the second sentence, I was wrong. He pressed panic. The red light blinked. The door opened. Haven stepped in with a blank form and a soft face that gave him room to be smaller than his reputation. Good, she said. Let's practice it, and then I'll walk you to him. Tanner looked up, stunned. You're not reporting me? Only to yourself, she said. That's the hard one. Behind two-way glass, Danny stood very still, the whistle unplayed on his tongue. When Tanner and Haven left, he wiped the board clean with slow strokes. They wrote two new words at the very bottom: debt paid. Chapter 5: The Edge. Rowan stood on a pedestrian bridge at midnight. Not to jump, he did not know what he meant to do, only that the night tugged at him like a tide. The city lights stitched the dark. His breath ghosted. Then he did not step out of the shadow. He stood close enough that his words would find Rowan without startling him into silence. People think fear keeps them alive, Danny said quietly, but fear is a poor security guard. It falls asleep on the job and dreams up endings. Rowan closed his eyes. I don't want to die, he said, voice thin. I just don't know how to keep doing it. You don't have to know, Danny said. You have to choose. Knowledge arrives after the choice, like a late train. Rowan laughed once, a broken bark. Who are you? Amir, Danny said. The kind they put at the end of the dark hallways so you don't collide with yourself. The boy's shoulders shook. He gripped a railing like a handrail on a moving train. Then he slid a card onto the concrete between them. The county sentence hours. A time and a place he even had written in neat letters. Walking group. Thursdays at 6. Bring nothing but your breath. And if I don't? Roland asked. Denny's answer was almost kind. Then I'll find you again. I'm patient, Roland. I have time you think you don't. The boy bent, picked up the card, and put it in his pocket like a passport. He did not say thank you. He didn't need to. He stepped back from the rail on his own feet. Then he exhaled, the whistle finally escaping him. 5 notes that hung over the river and did not break. Epilogue. Rumors and rituals. By homecoming, the Phantom was a myth with a class schedule. Some said he wore faculty tweed. Some said he had no face at all. Rumor insisted you could see him only in the reflections. Another that he left a white thread tied to your doorknob when he chose you. He didn't. He even suggested the thread once. He shaking his head. No trophies. Gal ran into Danny again by the vending machine in the late night clinic, both reaching for the last bottle of water. He let her have it. She cracked the cap and handed it back without debate. Share, she said. Humans are 60% unpredictability and 40% water. Dangerous ratio, he said. Her smile dimmed into concern. You had the look of someone who watches people fall and wonders if he's the ground. I'm neither, he said. I'm the warning sign someone pulls from the weeds in props where drivers will see it. Sounds lovely, she said softly. It is, he said, surprised to hear the truth come out undressed. Then borrow some of my noise, she said, tapping the side of her head. I've got too much some days. When she left, Denny stared at the reflection in the machine glass, a man who existed to be seen just enough. Behind him, Haven approached, a manila folder tucked under her arm. Cross's team extended the hours, she said. Also, she held up a small emerald pin shaped like a thin ring of light. For when you forget why we're doing this. What's that? Halo, she said, pointing to his lapel. A reminder that this isn't about power, it's about light. He touched the pin like one might touch a scar one has decided to keep. Next step? Evan asked. He looked past the glass to the long hallway, the shadowed campus, the lies vending their days for a chance at a future. The whistle rose, soft and certain. Next step, he said, and the campus exhaled, unaware that a storm had chosen to move with the weather. Not evil, only inevitable. And that, for now, it was teaching the living to live. And with that, that concludes this week's episode of The Inner D. And I will see you all on the next episode. Thank you for listening.